Thank you. I hope you can see my slides. Right. Okay. Thank you. This research is part of a larger research me and my colleagues are running at the University for the Creative Arts, which has a practical world building element as well. And what I'm presenting here is part of the research which informs our own practice. So I will today talk about briefly on terrain kits and their functions and the speculative design and how model aesthetics links to that. And then I will talk about specifically two types of um, habitation we see in Necromunda specifically, but my focus will be on Tatos pattern, hub modules as pod architecture. I will talk a little bit about the game and then a little bit about architectural theory and try to provide a sort of reading. It might be an overreading at certain times. We will see. This is an ongoing research, so I won't have a concrete conclusion at the end, to be honest. Terrain kits, we over the last 2 days and in the last year's conference, there were talk about the representative nature of models in Warhammer, and terrain kits also fall into that category, but not as with less focus than the models themselves. From a wargaming perspective, Priestley and Lamshed say, okay, they have impact on movement, line of sight, defensive benefits, etc., but they can also be used for cosmetic purposes. More specifically on 40K, Baumgartner says these are mechanically relevant topographies, but also reflect the fictional landscapes of the first of the 41st millennium. From a broader game design perspective, Wood says these are textual elements. I mean, everything in a game, the materials are textual elements, and we can read them, or players can read them as they play, as and it's gleaning into different ideological meanings. And she looks at board games, not war games, but board games with specific design elements like miniatures and boards, etc. More perspectives comes from crafting, that it strengthens games thematic immersion, but also terrain pieces reduce, Buthard says, reduce the ontological barrier between players and the fictional world, so we can feel more immersed in it. So that gives us a background. Terrain kits are mainly for creating battle zones. We see that in urban conquest expansion, for example. They are broken. They are not functioning cities. So my question was, can we have terrain kits for functioning cities, right? So we have the most prominent functional city of 40K is the Hive city, and we have that as a model. You can't have it as a model in scale for 28 millimeter, but we have such a model in Planetary Empires, for example, just a so small piece. In Necromunda, because it is a functional city in quotation marks, we do have it, and that is due to the scale. It's a skirmish game focused on individuals, so therefore we can have this closer look into the environment, and that's linked to the being a skirmish game and how the terrain is used in a instrumental way within gameplay as well. So I won't link that to speculative design, right? So we have these kits. How can we read them as speculative design? Sorry. Well, in speculative design, we have different tools like design fiction, modeling, second order design fiction, in which we try to create objects or stories about speculative design objects, and try to understand how they might impact the society. And Danny and Rabbi have Speculative Everything. That is a really, really good book. They discuss within that book these imaginary architectures and model aesthetics. They look at this model you can see, and look at the aesthetics that might become important later on. This stacked glass house, and they say this materiality, close or small materiality of this object gives us this look at the object, the idea. We can look at it. We can look at its aesthetics. It's unreal, but also real. That gives another layer of speculative and speculative power and impact for the audiences. Well, I will look at the imperial frontier and look at the speculative design of terrain kits in specifically Necromunda. I call it frontier in quotation marks because it's not the frontier where we have the wars, but more the frontier where we have this Western style living. It's the ash wastes. It's industrialized desert. And when you look at the first edition of Necromunda and the fiction comics around them, we have shanty towns of ash wastes. And there are also missions around that in various Warhammer or Games Workshop magazines. We have these shanty towns made of corrugated sheetings, plus great blocks, and they try to keep their inhabitants secure for a while. This image comes from the comic book Redeemer. You can see the hive in the background. Let me see. So this section here is the hive, this dark triangle in the back, and it's in the outskirts. It is what you would expect from a shanty town in most fiction, and that is actually supported by the model making practices of the first edition. You can find in the Necromunda magazine, for example, how you can create models, shanty towns for that. Well, I mean, that's actually aligns really well with the architectural literature we have about slums or shanty towns. These improvised habitation. This is one example from Buenos Aires, and I like this comparison because it's kind of aligns with what we saw in the previous image. The big city in the background and the shantytown in the foreground. And Dave is discussing in a quite negative way how these shantytowns work, slums work, that people there trade physical safety and public health for a few square meters of land and some security against eviction. These are pioneer settlers, he says, and it creates some form of economic protection. It's like a poverty's niche in this city. And when it comes to like original way of playing Necromunda and early, at least official way of playing Necromunda, you would create modeling, and there are actually really nice comparison between what Williams in a recent work discusses about the world building experience, model building experience around Necromunda, how terrain is made out of trash, so that reflects the imagination of the model builder, and how the Necromandan capitalist society is, and how people that are living there actually built these shanty out of garbage. And then model makers come together and they look at each other's models and say, oh, you use this piece in a different way. Oh, that's a technique. So there's this silent communication or sometimes loud communication between modelers, and their reflections about the industrial capitalism. And LA, whom I will quote later on again, discusses how shanty towns are built, and these are spontaneous settlements. They use whatever they have, and the expertise is communicated between the community members. There's no architect, no planner, but people discuss discuss their materials, their needs. They are the end users anyways, and they create these more or less similar box-like, rectangular, minimalist buildings as a community, and they even support each other at certain points. There are criticism of this approach because of all the crime and so on as well, but there is a positive community linkage with the model making, I guess. Well, in 2020, 2022, sorry, Games Workshop released the Ash Wastes, new Ash Wastes expansion, new rulebook for Necromunda, and they said no more shanty towns. We will give you something, and that again kind of links with what Ele said. Like these informal habitations are seen like something other, poor global north, global south comparisons and so on. But because of all these consumption relations, they are actually quite interlocked. Consumption and production practices around them, she argues that they're interlocked. And Games Workshop says maybe that's where I'm overreading. No more shanty towns. So you are part of it, so you will use the standard module as well. And in that kit comes what I'm looking at: Talos pattern hub modules, and we don't have much information about it. It's not covered in much Warhammer or Necromunda fiction. We know that it's imperial prefabricated structure. It can be easily modified. We can find it on multiple worlds. It's it's semi-mobile. We see here, and yeah, that's all we have. When we look at the kit itself, we see that there are some mechanical area in the red circle here, and some shanty modification options on the start sprue. We can see on the on the right. So that's the kit. There's not much to say, and this is how it looks like when you combine it. It is part of a system, so you can see like it's there in all these ways and so on. It's part of a system. I'm sorry, and there are no imperial imagery. It's quite a secular building when you look at it. You can extend it, right? So when you extend, you use this additional sprue, and then it becomes something most important gang members of the Ash Waste would take over. So when I looked at it, the first thing I thought, like, okay, I mean, it looks like the C-pod. Definitely, it looks like the C-pod. And C-pod was this libertarian idea of sea settling, and it sunk. It's just a joke from my side. But more prominently, we have working real-world counterparts like the Futuro from 1960s, which has been around for a couple of years and then disappeared. Nowadays, the Chinese company tries to sell these star capsules with this imagine like go out and live in the wilderness by yourself kind of idea, and that is actually linked to an earlier tradition of archigram pods, which are this idea beyond architecture. It housing becomes this consumable kits. It's self-contained, transportable. It's like a car refrigerator, plastic bag. It's a mass-produced capsule. And then we see another reflection of that in Japanese metabolism. Here, Kurokawa in 1960s describes this. Now we have homo movens, moving people, because of all the changes in the society at the time. We have capsules. They are emancipating us. This is a great revolt about rigid structures of a city. And when you look at them, the most important or most famous building of the metabolist movement is the capsule tower in Japan, which has this main structure, all the capsules attached to it. Living pods are the archigram pods are actually imagined to be part of this larger crane structure. If needed, you can move your home from one place to another. And Futuro had this Futuro Hotel idea, which never which couldn't be finished. And that's how Tato's pattern works. Actually, this is a promotional material from Warhammer community, where it shows how you can stack them. It creates multiple high buildings, and that again links to Archigram's plugin city, like this idea of a city which you can enhance according to your needs, change it, and so on. And that's the model making, terrain making practice when you look at it. Like you have all these pods, if you have multiple sets of data pattern, you can combine them, you can create them. It's about your needs, about your next battle scenario. And this is how Game Workshop promotes these habitats. All these small pieces stacked onto each other on the right side, sorry, left side. You can see here, for example, 3 of them, and the one here, I mean the lower one. Sorry, I just drove over it, but it is actually much broader than the even extended module, right? So you can add more and more and extend it and modify it. And then in, I think this year or late last year, they released this fortified hub module. There are some fiction around that, some lore texts around that in the lore books, because it became a more of a game component, right? So it has this flexible design. It's again just this door is added, these balconies and these defenses are added, and it becomes this protector of the hard-won resources, right? Resource gathering and protecting them, and how your buildings are linked to that became an important part of the hub model suddenly. And that kind of reminds me to settler colonialism in other science fiction as well. And because these are STC constructs, I couldn't stop myself speculating. Maybe these are like settlement, like colonization, early colonization modules during the dark age of technology, right? So Miller discussing settlerism and frontier in broader science fiction identifies certain characteristics of these spaces. These settlers reorganize space. The houses are standardized metal buildings, and which emphasize functionality over aesthetics. There are armored tech towers, watchtowers, and the design of these settlements create this binary between inside and outside. And before I finish, I must say, okay, so we have this status pattern thing going on. That's great, but it has a tough competition, right? So the Monitorium armored containers have been modified years before this kit came out. They have been around for longer. They are cheaper to get for model makers, and then you can actually combine these existing, because you can stack them as well and combine them with other kits as well. You can create your own status pattern like habitat, like the one you see here. Like it's more or less the same thing. And you can add more stores and habitation. And what you see on the left is the actual uses of containers in various as an architectural model. It's for housing, stores, medical clinics, etc., etc. So in real world, the pod architecture to some extent failed. It became a niche. And in the world of Warhammer, that seems to be the case as well, at least for now. It is there, but maybe in a later research I can look at these containers. They are also very prominent. Well, instead of a conclusion, I want to look at what Blackmore said in discussing urban decay and reuse of infrastructure in South America. She looks at these specific cases, and based on Lefebvre's ideas on space, we have we conceive space, we perceive space, and then there's a lived space. But as we live, sometimes unpredicted things happen, like the dark age of technology, and then all these designs around the cutting edge future became something else. I'm not sure if the Tatos have more units are like that. The hive itself or the imperial architecture itself in general is like that, but what these design objects might be created for and how they are used are really interesting questions within the world of 40K as well. And these are some of my biography, and thank you.